Okay, we'll start back here. Both of the motors are the same, obviously. Your dipstick is right here for your engine oil. Oil fills right here. To open the hatch, you just push on it. Pops open, take the cowls off. You push the red button, flip the handle up, and the cowl comes off. Same thing, push the red button, flip the handle down, and it's off. You have trim on the motors. They're both the same. This is your wash down, freshwater wash down that you can use to run it in the driveway. Break in, first hour, keep it under half throttle. Second hour, keep it under 3/4. And then up to 10 hours, don't hold it wide open for more than 5 minutes at a time. For the rest, it's pretty straightforward. Your gas fills here. This is your pump out for your black water.
Where is that black water tank and how does it fill?
It is right under here. It fills, the bathroom fills it, and you flush the toilet.
Where does that water come from? Is it lake water or is that a tank we have to fill?
Lake water. There's no clean water tank on the boat. So you have your bathroom, and then here are your switches to flush.
You got,
on the side.
What are the two switches for?
You have just the macerator pump, and you have the macerator with the water, and then just water. Okay. So you can see the, I mean, it's kind of hard to see, I suppose, but I'm gonna don't turn it over. And then just your toilet paper holder. You do have all the curtains. This curtain here does go all the way around. Privacy. Back here, wash down. Just flip it on. It goes to 50 psi, shuts off at 50 psi, and then as soon as you start spraying, it'll turn back on till you're done. And then when you turn the hose off, it'll build back the pressure, and that's it. Your fish box right here. That's the pump out for these two guys. They have the drain in the back corner.
Is there a macerator pump on that as well?
Yes, that is a macerator pump. And then you have your live well switch here. There's a live well switch here, and there's one up in the dash. They both need to be on for the live well pump to run. If you have, so you can switch it off here and switch it off up front like a 2-way or 3-way switch. Here's your live well. This is the spray nozzle. You want to spin that open a little bit so the water can spray out from the bottom. That's your overflow, and the drain plug goes in there, so there's no standpipe. This is the overflow.
And the drain plug's located in the glove box,
yeah,
correct?
drain plugs are in the glove box. This divider does come out. Just lift it up, swing it out of the way, and then put it back in. Back here, this is your pump out switch to pump out your black water. So when you hear that pump run, that will pump the water out of here, or the black water out of there. You have a starting battery down there in the middle. There's one under this step which you can't see, and then the house battery's over there. There is a battery switch which is on now. That blue C relay under there is the charging relay, so when the starboard motor is running, that will charge your house battery. The starboard motor is boss over everything. The starboard key switch controls everything. And when that motor is running, you will see a yellow light come on the relay, and that means it's charging that battery. Which you can also see on the fish finders. They show battery voltage. Right now it's 12. If that motor is running, it takes about 20 seconds or 30, and then that will go to like 13.45 to 14.4, depending on your RPMs. But that's where you can tell that that battery is charging also. And then when both motors are off and you use anything in the boat, it drains the house battery. And two starting batteries are isolated so that you will never drain your starting batteries when you're running.
Can you explain the switch for the pump out for the drain? We had to zip tie that off?
Yes, that shut off valve is zip tied shut. You cannot open that.
Can you show us where that is real quick?
It's down here. I haven't tied it off yet, but it's down under there. Let me get a light on it. Right there. That will be tied off. Because if you're in the Great Lakes, you're not allowed to be able to pump overboard. you can only do that off the coast so far. Here is your main breaker for the anchor winch. If that trips, this little yellow guy pops out at the bottom. You just push it back up and it resets. Then one other thing is right back there. There is, let me get a light on it. That top breaker right there, right here, is the main breaker for the boat. And then there's some resettable breakers behind there that are all marked as fuses, but they're all resettable. We'll get in here's well we'll go over the rest of the boat before we do the graphs. Here's your whole switch panel, horn, which is pretty obvious. The wiper switch up is just the one wiper, down is both of them. You have two bilge pumps, an aft and a bow. The fan switch controls your two fans up here, which can turn every which way. There is a dial on the back for speed setting, so you can turn one higher or lower. Your cap lights are right here. Courtesy lights are a separate switch. There's one over here and there's two in the back in the gunnel on the deck. Nav lights, up is nav light, down is just your anchor. Your nav lights are on the hardtop on the side here. The anchor lights up top. Live well. And then this is an accessory switch that's empty. 12-volt charger. All these black knobs above it are the breakers for the switch that's under it. So this is the breaker for that switch. Trim tabs. When the key turns on, the starboard key turns on, the trim tabs will light up. Pretty straightforward. If you want this side of the boat to go down, you push the button and then the indicator will show that the opposite side trim tab is going down. And then same on this side. VHF, just turn the dial. It beeps at you. Then you do have to hit OK. And now you can use the radio. You have to make sure you hit OK, because if you don't hit OK, the radio won't work. Same over here with the AM/FM radio. Top button powers it up. And then here's your mute, power on. We're not going to get anything in here, but you just have volume up, volume down, go through the channels. Pretty self-explanatory. And then push and hold. We'll turn it back off. The AM/FM antenna is on this side, outside. The VHF antenna is over here, outside. Winch is right here, up and down. When you go down, you only have to go a little bit and then it will just free fall. When you go up, you have to run to get it to come all the way up. You do have the step in here to get up the front. The winch, all the wire just drops down under here. There's a compartment down there where all the wire and chain stores. Sometimes you get a knot in the rope, so you'll have to get the twist out of the rope. That's why you have the access cover. And then for trailering, there is a pin in here that you got to pull before the anchor can drop it. Here's the anchor. So if you accidentally hit the switch, the anchor won't take off. I think that's everything on just the boat. The motors, they're pretty. Two key switches. Both key switches will turn on the vessel view. Once it's on, you just hit accept, and then if you do ever end up in the home screen, You just hit the Mercury logo, and that will bring you to the Mercury screen. You can see battery voltage, RPMs, trim down here, fuel, speed. If you hit any function on the screen, it will come up bigger. So here you get the trim expanded. If you hit the Mercury in the middle, you can see all your information on each motor: RPMs, coolant temp, oil pressure, fuel consumption, and then just X gets you back to the home screen. When the motors are running, the voltage should be between 13 something and 14 something, so you know that they're charging. You have any questions on?
I can walk you through that.
Okay. Fish finders, they're both the same. They're tied together through their what they call their link, I guess. This is your home screen, so you have just your favorites, which you can set up to screens you prefer, and then here you have some preset screens, I guess. So here is just your combos, all the different charts you can get, your transducer, radar, and then gauges and controls. The motors are not tied into this because you have the vessel view, so we left it out of the fish finders. The nice one on the charts is if you hit radar overlay, it will show up the chart where you're at, and then you can, if you hit this icon up here, turn the radar on. It takes a second, and then you can hear it start up, and then you can see the radar overlay on the chart. So if you're going through channel anywhere, or if you're out in the lake, you see the chart, and it will show you the boats, the shoreline, the lighthouses, the buoys. Everything will show up on the radar. The radar is all full now. It's because we're inside, so it shows up everything. But you'll just get the spots, and then when you get to the shorelines, you'll actually see the shorelines show up on the radar. Stop panning if you start moving around to go where you're going. If you hit stop panning, it will go back on top of the boat and go with where you're going. You can turn the radar back off over here, and you'll hear it's pulled down. And then if you go to sonar, you just have your traditional sonar screen, and then you have side imaging is right here. Split screens, I mean, the options are really endless, basically. Combos is what a lot of guys use. Here you have everything. So you have your chart, or sonar, down imaging, and side imaging. All four showing up. Here is some of the combos that they have preset. Turnkey start on both motors. Turn the key, it'll fire up, and then here, so if the safety lane is stripped, you'll throw an alarm. It'll make it pretty obvious. The motors obviously aren't going to start. If they're in gear, the motors will still start, but they will not be in gear. You have to come back to neutral and then shift to get them in gear. You have trim individual for each motor, side to side, and then this trim controls both of the motors. So if you're cruising and you use this trim, both of the motors will come up or down at the same time. Sync puts the two motors as close together as it can. One lever, if you turn that on. Wait, I gotta get control of this one. If you turn one lever on, if you shift this lever, both motors will shift and both motors will rev up. So you can leave this one idle. You have throttle only, which just means you can rev up, it won't shift. And then docking mode. Docking mode turns down the throttle response, so it's a lot slower response than it is in regular mode. And then your brightness, your pads and the screen both turn down and up. They're all linked together. So now we have control on this one. You see the transfer buttons lit up. If we go back here, we hit transfer, everything beeps. We hit it again, this light gets solid, and now we have control here. So now we can drive the boat from the back. We do have a safety lanyard front and back. So either one of them will kill the motors whenever you're running and something goes wrong. And I think that's most of it. You have anything else?
That'll work for now.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Gerard.
Yep, you're welcome.